Hello, this is Clint from Predator Control Group, and I've got an email that this is just too much to try to write back about. So this is going to make this a lot easier. I get this question a lot, so it'll be a good thing for me to do. How do you get trapping permission in Texas? What about the bounties in Texas? And there's a third question that we're going to do on another short video, just so this doesn't get too long. This is Clint from Predator Control Group, and you can check out more of the information we have on our Wolfer Nation YouTube channel, and you can also go to wolfernation.com, which is an information-based website. And we have a weekly podcast. We talk about trapping and all the good stuff that goes with that at trappingradio.com and trappingradio2.com. The second one is the newer podcast. So I've got a question from Derek. I'm not going to say the state. I'm going to say the Midwest. And the question is kicking around the idea of a trip to Texas. I'm 19 years old and I live in, I'll say, the Midwest. Our season is over now. I was going to pick your brain a bit when you have a minute. How difficult is it to gain permission this time of year? From the way it sounded, you guys stayed plenty busy just trapping a couple of large ranches. Was trying to find out about the bounties for coyotes, but couldn't find much online. Sound like you guys were more after cats and killing coyotes to keep landowners happy. Saw cats were bringing $20 to $60. I'll be fine with killing predominantly coyotes if I was able to get a bounty. Derek, this is one of those I could literally about write a book about. I've been going to Texas for several years, but is it late to go to Texas? Dude, that's up to you. Being 19, being bulletproof, you're going to do whatever you want to do. I don't think it's very prudent, and here's why. Just going to Texas. Now, East Texas may be different. I have a feeling North Texas, South Texas, West Texas, all going to be the same about what I'm talking about. The really good ranches, most of those ranches, the people do not live on them. So when you get there, you're going to come up to a high fence. You're going to have a lock gate. There's nobody to ask permission to. You can try to leave a card. I've seen some guys try that. I don't think they ever really got any traction doing that. You need to have something set up with a ranch before you go down there. Texas is kind of an unusual state when it comes to getting trapper permission. Very different than the Midwest that you're from, because you can walk up and talk to the landowner. Like I said, you may be at a ranch in Del Rio, but the landowner is over in Dallas. And you're in about the best you can do is find the land manager, and he can't tell you yes, but he can tell you no. So this is one of those things. Texas is very unusual when it comes to getting trapper permission. You need to be able to contact somebody before you go down there to make sure you have a place to stay. There's no public ground basically to trap. There's no road trapping allowed. Texas is very, very serious about property rights, and I give them kudos to that, but that does make them very difficult to get permission on. So, you can go through magazines and just call people up that have deer ranches and try to get a hold of them that way. You can email them. You can do all kind of things. But just hopping in the truck and coming from the Midwest down to Texas, I think you're pretty much asking for heartbreak and to lose a bunch of money. But, you can try it if you want to. You'll be better off trying to figure out how to contact these people, and that's way more than I can go into on an email or even something like this. That's what we have our business course for, actual how to get these guys to talk to you. And I just don't feel comfortable saying that out in the open when other guys are paying for it. So it's going to be up to you to figure out how to get permission before you go down there. It is difficult, I will tell you. Texas has had a lot of problems with guys coming down. They start stealing antlers, they leave gates open, they try to shoot deer, they do all kind of crazy things, and because of that, over the years, just generationally, people shut off their ranches to someone coming down, when it would be nice if you could just go down there and do the good job that I'm sure that you would do. You send a picture with me, there's no doubt you can slay the fur. So that's not the issue. The issue is just getting permission, and it is very difficult. And I don't want you to waste a bunch of money and a bunch of time going down there and finding a bunch of closed lock gates that there's nowhere. There's not like there's a phone there to call or something like that. So Look around. I mean, you probably know somebody that knows somebody in Texas, or know somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody in Texas. And that's good. You're going to be way better off. Think about relatives, think about friends, think about business associates. Maybe get on Trapper Man, or some of these other big forums. I would get on, if I was going to look around and know I could trust some guys, I'd get on Jeff's Trapping Talk on Facebook, ask around. Because a lot of times, if you hit it off with the right person, they're in Texas, they can't really trap everything they got, they'll be glad to throw you a bone. And once you get your foot in Texas, it's a really cool things that happen. You do what you're supposed to do, Derek, when you get down there, and you actually hustle, and you don't screw with anything you're not supposed to screw with. You don't chase deer. You don't leave gates open. You don't, leave a mess wherever you're at. You take care of them, and you do a good job. Then, once you get your foot in the door, the very first time's the hard time. Once you get your foot in the door, they tell some buddies, some other ranchers. Now it gets a whole lot easier. You can drop some names and things like that. It just works out better. But that first one, I'm telling you, you're going to fight for. But once you get that first one out of the way, it becomes easier if you do what you're supposed to do as a trapper. Now, we stay busy on a couple of ranches. Yes, we're talking, 20, 30, 40,000 acre ranches. So to cover that, to do it, and you don't need a bunch of ground. I mean, you don't need a bunch of ranches because we have a bunch of ground, which is, kind of what you're looking for. If I was going to go down there, when I first started going to Texas, I wasn't on 20,000 acres or 40,000 or 70,000. I was fighting to get on 1,800, 2,500, stuff like that. And then once you got in there, we're getting to talk about snaring on the other video. Once you get in there and you do a good job, the permission kind of opens up, especially around you. You get to start meeting some people, find out they find out what you're doing. They find out you're a good guy. They'll let you in there. Now, I was trying to find out about bounties for coyotes and couldn't find much online. There are bounties in Texas for coyotes, but guys, listen to me. Completely get all of the crap out of your mind that you heard online about these bounties. The places that have bounties are going to be sheep country. Now, sheep country has been at an absolute war with predators for hundreds of years. And I'm going to tell you a quick story about this. When I was tagging a bunch of cats before I left Texas, I kind of mentioned the bounty in a certain place that had a bounty to the game warden, and he kind of went, shh. And he said, please don't even mention the word coyote or that, because you just cost, I don't know how much to the state, probably about $50,000. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He goes, if they even hear there's a coyote or hear a howl or someone sees a coyote, helicopters take off, government trappers run out, local trappers. It is a convergence on that. So what does that mean to you when you're looking for a bounty in somewhere like Texas that is in a place that will have a bounty on Texas? You're going to go down there in a place that has very few coyotes. So if you're relying that off bounty, very different than if you get a bounty in Mississippi, Louisiana, Arkansas, somewhere like that for beaver, where they have a problem of a lot of animals. If you go to Texas for the predator thing, you're going to find out you're going to get in a county that has such a small population, you're going to have to work your butt off for just a few animals, and there's not going to be any money there, and your expenses are going to overtake your income, and you're going to be losing money. To me, the bounty thing in Texas, unless you live right there, is a waste of your time. And that's probably the reason you don't see much online, because there's hardly any animals there, so no one's going to be going out and bragging about how much they're making, because they're not making anything. And the other part of this question sounded like you guys were more after cats and killing cows to keep the landowners happy. Yeah, we were there to keep the landowners happy, but we get paid for what we do. We get paid very well for what we do. So when we go down to a landowner, it is a business contractual thing we're doing with a landowner to keep his animals, whatever they are on that particular ranch, safe from predators. That's what we're doing. So it's a little bit more than just keeping them happy. It's a business thing. And I can tell you right now, very professional ranches are not going to trust somebody that's just coming down for fun and going to work for free, because it doesn't make sense in the culture of Texas. So, from a business point of view of their mind, they want another business that has some, you know, some reasons for being there for them. But and when you go down to somewhere like this, I've seen it happen to a lot of guys. And I'm not saying this would happen to you, Derek, but keep this in mind. A trapper in Texas is like a fence builder. He's like a road grader. He's like someone that's going to go out and cut brush. He is there to do a job for the ranch, and that's all it is. And a lot of guys get their feelings hurt because ranchers don't treat you like a rock star. You're just another worker on the ranch. So just throwing that in there, just so there's not any hurt feelings when you get in there, because I've seen it. Cats bringing $20, $60. I don't think anybody knows what cats are bringing right now. It's January 2016 as I make this video, and you were wondering if you were killing coyotes primarily for the bounty, which I've already brought up. Not a very good idea. But all this sounds very negative, what I'm saying. Don't take it that way. I'm not saying that. The beauty of Texas, there is a tremendous amount of fur in Texas. That's the reason we go down there. That's the reason, I'm not going to be able to go to Pennsylvania and catch 120, 130 cats. There's no way I can do that in Texas. That's the reason I go down there. That's just like you're in Iowa. You can catch all the coons in the picture you showed me. Sorry, I said Iowa, meant Midwest. So, but you can do that there, because now cats in Texas are not like coon in Iowa, but it gives you an opportunity if you spread out enough that you can come across enough of those to catch a bunch of them. And you can do the same thing with coyotes. So don't be discouraged, but take it kind of as a challenge, man. Figure out, be creative on how to get somebody to let you go down there and prove yourself. And once you prove yourself, like I said, you're going to have a lot better chances to get other ranches, and then all of a sudden things will open up to you. The good part about that, for someone that is an ethical trapper, that's a hard worker, that's willing to go out and do the research to get on a ranch to start with, is you've knocked out a lot of your competition, because they're just wanting to be welcomed with open arms, and that is not going to happen in Texas. It's just not going to happen. Landowners are not like that. At least not anywhere I've been. When you're going to look at north of San Antonio, about 50 miles, slap down to Corpus Christi, all the way over to the Texas border, and over to all the way up through the hill country on the western side of San Antonio. That's where I've trapped. It is not that way. The eastern side looks more like Louisiana. I don't know anything about the bounties over there, but that may be more of a southern eastern feel type thing, and he may be able to get permission there. And if I was really going to be looking at Texas, and you're already a snareman from what your email told me here, I'd be looking at hogs as much as I would coyotes, because they cause more destructive. You need to figure out a way as a trapper to have value to these ranches. Real life money value that they can see. And if they're trying to grow something and hogs are tearing it up, now being a snareman, you've got an advantage that a lot of the other guys in timber country do not have, because they can only rely on a helicopter or some traps that only work off and on. Snares, you can wipe hogs out if you work at it hard enough. And that could be the value thing that you're looking at. The other thing, I know you're probably going to hate this coming from the Midwest, coons are a big problem in Texas. They eat the feed. It costs some of these big ranches. I know. I've been on a couple ranches that their feed bill is $75,000 a year. And if you can go down there and cut 20% off of that, you're showing them boys some real value, and that's what you want to do. So don't just think of this like a fur trapper. Don't think of it that way if you're going to try to get into Texas, because you're going to meet a lot of resistance, because culturally you're going to have some conflicts there. Think of it as what is you have that you can bring serious value to one of those ranches. And if you can find one of them to take a chance on of you, now you're on your way. And I hope that helps you out, Derek. And not so this doesn't run on too long, I'm going to do another short video about your other question, because this is very important for anybody that's ever going to be on a deer ranch in Texas.